Well, hello from me too. I'm going to talk about onions today. And why do we talk about onions? Because onions have layers. We want to talk about layers. And yeah, maybe before we get into it, what we did exactly, I want to give a hopefully short overview of our current structure. As was said, I'm actually not from the BVB, from the Bavarian Union, but I'm closely working with them. Some of them are also here today. If you have questions for them, you could also reach them today. But just a quick overview, the Bavarian Library Network supports over 150 libraries in Bavaria, and I've heard beyond. Some services that they provide are the delegate. That's our union catalog. That's in cooperation with the KBV. It also includes libraries not only in Bavaria, but also in Brandenburg and Berlin. So that's quite a lot of libraries, and we have currently around 30 million solar entries. So also quite a lot of entries. They offer OPAC hosting, where we currently are in our transition from our legacy system from OCLC, our TouchPoints, to the open source system VuFind. In parallel to that, so that's a more combined effort at the moment, we are also switching to FOLIO. So our old system, SISIS, also from OCLC, is going to say goodbye in the next few years, and we're going to make the switch to FOLIO. So hello, open source. All this is happening in cooperation with the LZ. That's our supercomputing center in Munich. They do a lot of the harsh work concerning the infrastructure. And we're working really closely with them, and we are very grateful to have them. Within the Bavarian Folio project, VuFind is, well, it's a working group. It's behind this discovery working group. We're a lot of people. We are around 30 people that actively are in the meetings. Some come and some go, depending on their interest. So there can be more, there can be less. The group meets monthly, but we also have more regular subgroups that are concerned with the following topics. I myself am in the left 3 of them, so I'm mainly concerned with LMS connection to Folio, but also at the moment to SISIS, so we're also using VuFind with SISIS. And the main point today is our UX and UI design. Another overview, we're getting a lot of overviews today. How would the structure look if you got a VuFind? By the BVB, we have, of course, the VuFind system. We've got connection to the your LMS. Maybe it's Folio, maybe it's still SISIS for your standard informations, your standard processes. You've got your Solar index. I don't want to go into detail of that, but we've got a mixture of the Bibliotheksverbund, so our union catalog, and some local instances that go in their own collection and combined. That's your local core that you use with your VuFind. If you want further details concerning that, please, the BVB, I think, is the best institution to ask there, because they are already posting it and are very, very well informed on that topic. So that's one too far. Then also, how do we work on the development side? We are using a central system, GitLab, sorry, for managing our source code, configurations files, etc., etc. We use this to have a really clean separation from the base system. So, well, a lot of VuFind systems use GitHub directly. We use GitLab. It's basically the same, but just a bit different. We also use GitLab for our ticketing system. So we have central ticketing system for the whole union there. And within the developers, we also choose IntelliJ and PHP Storm for our environments. That's just something when you find something that you can agree on, it's much easier for the documentations and everything. If new developers join, you can say, okay, I've got a screenshot from the configurations. You just have to do that and that and that, and then it works. Of course, if you're very enthusiastic, you can also use something else. And for automated builds and deployments, we use Docker locally and on the LZ for then deploying. Our productive VuFind uses Kubernetes. So now we get to the main part, our onion. So maybe you've realized at this point that scalability is kind of our main problem here with a 3-digit amount of libraries. You need some kind of system to keep this all going, to keep it manageable on the long run. So we thought a bit, and about 10 months ago, we decided on this layered model. We'll go a bit into depth in each layer, but for a start, we have the green, the core part. That's our VuFind system, where we mostly keep, not mostly, we keep the core system that we get from GitHub. Then the outer middle part, that's our union layer. So changes that the whole union could agree on and that everybody else can use without further needs to do anything. And the outer part, well, you could call it the shell, the nice part on the outside, that's the library-specific layer, where you could do some, library-specific changes, like maybe change the color a bit, add your logo, and, connect your library system. That would be a good idea. Now going a bit into detail on all these layers. We set the core part, and currently that's 10.1.4 for us. We're currently running all our systems on that. We started our development with 9, so we had some changes in the time we've been working with VuFind. And as soon as possible, we want to switch to 10.2. But we'll see when you have the time to actually do that, because there are going to be some changes, and it's going to be a bit of work to get there. As I said, we want to keep this layer change-free, so nobody works on this layer. We want to be able to upgrade as easily as possible to the new version, and it's a lot harder to do that if you have to pick out your own changes from these files and migrate them to the new version. So this layer is change-free. We also profit from that. We profit from the new, new requests or new ideas that come in from the community, and can easily integrate that into our system. But as everybody has their own needs, we also have them. So in the next layer, that's our uniform layer for the union. That's for all union libraries. It contains, that's maybe the most important part, our central module. We don't have library-specific modules. We have one module for the whole union. You can do configurations within that. So we have our own config file. It's called b4b-ini, so it's a new config file where you could maybe turn on some things, configure some things, change the behavior of a new function. So it's, kind of fits all. But there's not just the module and function part, there's also some well, some cosmetics we could all agree on, and to make it easier for a new library to start, like some common base translations we could agree on, and so you don't have to go start from scratch with each new library. It's really important, we kind of highlighted that here, that's the layer of cooperation, as I like to call it, because it needs cooperation. So you need the working groups to agree on these things. You need a lot of people to put some work into these things, because they have to be developed, they have to be maintained, and all these changes go through the working group to be approved there. So every library can give their input there on these matters. Yeah, and it's been working really well. And to say at least, with this layer, you have a functional VuFind system. So we had a bit of provocative term that we are able to start a new VuFind within 5 minutes. That's maybe a bit too bold, but you just need to maybe add your LMS, add your Solar system, and your VuFind is ready to run with this layer. And where do you add your Solar system? You add it in the configuration file of your library-specific layer. That's the layer made for individual designs and customizations, because every library has their, well, their signature color, their logo, some own texts that they want to add, and not everybody can agree on everything. That's pretty clear. This layer inherits from the BVB theme. So you inherit the themes in VuFind. So we have the base theme, that's the Bootstrap 5 theme for us, and then the BVB theme, and on top, the library-specific theme that inherits all the way down. You also have some local configurations. You have the BVB config file here that turns on and off some behaviors in the blue layer. And yeah, you can also override, of course, some configurations that have been done before and add to them. We added this layer, and we say, kind of made, we tried to find a middle ground with that. So it has to be flexible enough that every library can kind of agree on it. So they all can find their way there, but we also don't want it to be too flexible, because it's going to be a lot of work to keep this one going. If you find a new version and everybody says, yeah, well, we use that layer, but we did so many changes there, and now we switched the version and we have to do so much. we can't keep up with the schedule. So we kind of tried to find a middle ground there. To put that in a bit of perspective, we want to look at some examples. That one's pretty boring. I think you all know that. Well, I don't want to call it boring. It's a VuFind-based system. It's not boring. It's a base system. Bootstrap 5 here. As I said, we don't change anything at this layer. It's just in this default state. Next layer, we choose the results list as example, because you could see a lot of changes there. We have the BVB layer. We can see what we could agree on was the icons, for example. We switched them out with some custom icons put in. Minor change, we put the facets on the left side. It's a config thing, but we agreed on it, so that's there. We added some new items to the header menu. These are also partly configurable. And, well, some other various config presets, like when the location display, you can configure that and how it groups things together. We put some defaults there. And you can also see some placeholder translations. I think if the light allows it, the best part is actually in the top left corner and down at the first result, the URL placeholder. These are put there with intention, because these are translations that we would never be able to agree on, like title of the library. You can't agree on a title of a library, but they are there to be, but they're quite easy to recognize. So it's like, okay, oh, damn it, I need to change them. So they are made to be ugly. Yeah, these are just some placeholders so every library can change them afterwards. And then we have our catalog. I'm from the University of Library of Bamberg, and maybe something you can't actually see here, but we use a different LMS connector. We use the SISIS system in the background. We have added a lot of CSS following our corporate design. We have some custom facets on the left side. Some are like the library in Bamberg. Facet is enabled by default. That filters our whole Solar index down to just all libraries, holdings. And if you look really closely, you can see that we also added a new tool in the toolbar at the right side of the list entry. That's one thing we really wanted, and we were able to add it there. Without actually, and that's the important part, without changing the theme files. That's the important part. So we didn't change the theme files, these are just additions into it. And if the main theme changes, we don't have to do anything. And to maybe that's our catalog, to put that in a bit of comparison, what you could also do. The nice colleagues of the TUM library, the Technical University in Munich, allowed us to show their catalog. And you can also already see some changes, like, okay, they use the FOLIO LMS, you can see that actually, but they also follow their corporate design, because you see the header is completely different design. They also have some different custom facets, for example, the checkbox facets at the side, also, of course, some other local translations. And, well, the most noticeable, I think, is the little chat bubble, the right corner. That's actually going to be something in the B4B layer that can be configured there, because other libraries are going to want that too, and you can turn it off, configure it, and so on. Then I also thought I'll show you some examples from the, let's give a quick eye on the blog, but we still have time. Some examples from the mobile view, because we really wanted to put a focus there, because our old catalog has been a bit lacking on the mobile front, and we wanted to have that nice and tidy. Well, the base system itself is actually quite responsive, so that's already nice to start with. We did some minor changes at the BVB layer, like the cover placement is a bit different. We reduced tools, you could see at the bottom. And if you look closely, we also adapted the font size a little bit, just a minor detail, to be, well, a bit bigger on your tiny smartphone. And then you can see the mobile view at TUM and at Bamberg. It mainly inherits from the BVB theme with some minor changes, like they don't display their cover images on the mobile view, so they have more results per page. That was their decision, and in Bamberg we kept them. But we also have our addition to the toolbar. We decided we wanted to keep that in mobile view too. Just for information, that little tool just is for form, so you can give feedback to a title. We thought that would be also quite relevant in a mobile theme. What really is the key point for us concerning this structure that we built is that we have a lot of different kinds of libraries within the union. We have some small, a lot of small libraries, and we have these bigger university libraries and bigger institutions, and they all have a different grade of capability when it comes to IT services, like a catalog is. So you have different kind of approaches when working with your new VuFind. You have this basic or passive approach that quite heavily leans on the work of the BVB. They completely take over the work for you. and are able to do basic configurations, new themes, and so on for you. We also have the active approach. That's something like we in Bamberg did. We put a bit more manpower into our VuFind, and we are also really heavily working together with the Bavarian subgroups for our discovery systems, and yeah, also did some configurations and theme additions ourselves. But we are the persons that have to keep the changes going. So there's no support for us concerning our own local changes. We are really we have to keep them then. So there's no one coming to our rescue when we do something. Don't know, groundbreaking. Hope not. So it gives us a real flexibility within this structure. As I said, we started with it around 10 months ago, and yeah, some maybe summary lessons learned from this period. We started off with single branches for each library. We quickly realized we needed to split that in productive and dev branches. We also had these productive and dev branches for the union, theme and config to keep these things separate. The second point is quite new. We started doing a review process, but we're still experimenting with it, but it's something we want to keep. We also have code freezes when a new library goes live, so the library can adapt to the current state and doesn't have to fear that the next week before they go live, there's going to be a new change and they have to adapt their local theme to that. Yeah, well, the next points are more like a summary. We realized that library customization, so your own changes to your own theme, are really easily distinguishable from your main VuFind, your B4B layer. And that's quite nice because you really can compare themes. You're like, okay, what did someone else? What did we do? And you can also, that's the last part, you can also decide to bring them together at one point and see, okay, so many people did changes to this file. Maybe we could bring that together on the lower layer so next libraries don't have to do that. And we also really thought it was a really good decision to keep, especially the module on the middle layer, not allow local changes there, because it drastically reduces maintenance and a lot of time and effort that you have to put into that. So that was the takeaway for us. Yeah, coming up, we, as I said, wanted to switch to 10.2 as soon as available, but we have some libraries that go live this year, so we'll have to see how we can squeeze that one in. We're currently 6 libraries that work in the structure. There are going to be 2 more, I think, this year. Yeah, 2 more, so it's going to be 8 at the end of this year. And within the next year, we have our first test. We're switching out an LMS at an already live VuFind. That's going to be our one. We're going to switch from SISIS to FOLIO. We do the live VuFind system, so we hope that works out. But we, just as a quick word, maybe, we really wanted to keep our B4B theme as LMS agnostic as possible. So it works no matter what you put in the back end. So we hope we did a good job. We'll see if you in the next month if we did. Yeah. And well, thank you for your attention, and yeah.